We live in a world where we think we are free, but our freedom is bounded by a series of invisible digital codes. I am not talking about the software on your phone or the apps you use every day. I am talking about the financial algorithms that determine the value of your labor, the price of your bread, and the stability of your future. Most people believe money is solid. They think it is backed by gold, or by the strength of a government, or by the productivity of a nation. But what if I told you that the entire global financial system is currently running on a legacy code that is outdated, corrupted, and approaching a total system failure? We are witnessing the end of an era. The pillars, the US dollar and banking network, are showing signs of terminal illness. Many economists try to hide this with complex jargon and confusing charts, but today I will peel back the layers and present 4 key reasons why the current financial system is destined to fail, and why the transition to what comes next will be the most disruptive event in human history. Why is this happening now? Why have the rules of the game suddenly changed? How does this invisible failure affect your bank account today? By the end of this video, you will see the cracks in the foundation that most people are ignoring, and you will understand why the real AI crisis I spoke about before is deeply intertwined with this financial collapse. To understand the failure, we first have to understand what money actually is. In the 21st century, it is no longer a store of value. It is information. It is a ledger. It is a set of instructions. Imagine a giant village where everyone writes down what they owe each other on a communal chalkboard. As long as everyone trusts the chalkboard, the village functions. But what happens when the people in charge start writing down numbers that don't exist? What happens when they erase their own debts while doubling yours? This is the state of the global financial system today. We are living in a fiat illusion. Since 1971, when the world officially moved away from the gold standard, money has been nothing more than a promise. But a promise is only as good as the person making it. Do you trust them? Do you understand how dangerous it is when the code of our economy is based on trust, yet the institutions managing it have lost all credibility? Let's look at our first major pillar of failure, the inescapable debt loop. In our current system, money is actually created through debt. When a bank gives you a loan, that money didn't exist before. It was typed into a computer. This means that for the economy to grow, debt must also grow. But there is a mathematical limit to this. We are currently at a point where the global debt is so massive, over $300 trillion, that it can never, ever be paid back. It is a physical and mathematical impossibility. Think about that for a second. We are working for an insolvent system. Why is this important? Because when debt grows faster than the actual economy, you get inflation. Your money loses value because the code is being flooded with too many new units. It is like a video game where the developers suddenly give everyone 1 billion gold coins. What happens to the price of a sword? It skyrockets. This is why you feel poorer today. The code is being diluted. Consider a fascinating economic experiment from history: the John Law Mississippi scheme in 18th century France. John Law was a brilliant gambler who convinced the king that he could solve the country's debt by printing paper money backed by the potential wealth of the Mississippi colony in America. For a while, it worked. Everyone felt rich. People were trading their gold for paper. But eventually, someone asked a simple question: is there actually any gold in the Mississippi? The answer was no. The moment the trust vanished, the paper became worthless overnight. People who were millionaires on Monday were beggars on Friday. Today, the entire global economy is a Mississippi scheme on a planetary scale. Instead of a colony in America, our paper is backed by the promise of future taxes. But as populations age and productivity slows down due to the job collapse, those future taxes are also vanishing. The code is running out of future to borrow from. What happens when the system realizes there is no more future left to monetize? This leads to the second pillar. Today, the entire global economy is a Mississippi scheme on a planetary scale. Our paper is backed by future taxes, but as populations age and productivity slows down due to the job collapse, those future taxes are also vanishing. The code is running out of future to borrow from. What happens when the system realizes there is no more future left to monetize? This leads to the second pillar. As long as we all believe we can get our money out, the system functions. But liquidity is a mirage. It disappears when you need it most. Have you ever seen a bank run? It is the most terrifying sight. It is the moment the code crashes because too many users try to log out at once. In 2023, we saw the fastest bank failures in history because of social media. Information travels at the speed of light, and so does panic. Why is this a systemic failure? Because the plumbing of our global finance is still based on technology from the 1970s. We are trying to run a high-speed digital world on a horse and buggy financial infrastructure. Guess what happens next? The pipes burst. Let's talk about the dollar hegemony. For decades, the US dollar has been the master code of the world. If you wanted to buy oil or gold or electronics, you had to use dollars. This gave the United States an exorbitant privilege. They could print money and the rest of the world would absorb it. But the code is being rewritten. We are seeing the rise of BRICS Plus, nations tired of old rules. They are developing their own payment systems, digital currencies, and trade agreements that bypass the dollar entirely. This isn't just a political shift, it is a system-wide hard fork. Imagine you have been playing a game for years, and suddenly half the players decide to start their own server with different rules. The value of your items starts to drop. This is what is happening to the global financial dominance of the West. When the world no longer needs the dollar to trade, all those trillions of dollars held outside will come flooding back home. It means hyperinflation, the likes of which we haven't seen in modern times. Why does this matter? Because your savings, pension, and purchasing power are all tied to that code. If the code fails, your wealth disappears into the digital ether. Why are we so blind to this? It is because of normalcy bias. We believe that because the system worked yesterday, it will work today. We see rising prices and bank failures as isolated incidents, rather than symptoms of a failing architecture. We are like passengers on the Titanic. Passengers who were told the ship was unsinkable, so they went back to their cabins even as the water was rising. But look at the reality of 2026. Look at the interest rates, the geopolitical tensions, and the rapid shift toward digital control. The normalcy is gone. We are in a state of transitionary chaos. This is a sociological shift in the contract. A financial system is a social contract. It is an agreement that if I work today, I can eat tomorrow. When that contract is broken, when people realize their hard work is being stolen by a corrupted code, the society breaks too. We see this in the rising wealth gap. The system is now designed to funnel wealth toward the people closest to the chalkboard. The central bankers and mega corporations benefit while everyone else fights for scraps. Is this a system you want to participate in? Let's look at an analogy involving the map and the territory. Our financial system is the map. For a long time, the map was accurate. But over the last 20 years, map makers have been drawing bridges everywhere. They have created synthetic wealth through derivatives, high-frequency trading, and quantitative easing. These are all digital bridges that don't actually exist in the real territory of production and resources. We are currently driving our global economy at full speed across a map full of fake bridges. The imminent failure is near. It is the moment the wheels leave the ground and we realize there is nothing beneath us but a 1,000-foot drop. Can you hear the wind rushing past? Can you feel the moment of weightlessness before the crash? This brings us to the most controversial part of the failure, the digital transition. Many people think the solution is a digital system. They talk about central bank digital currencies or CBDCs. They tell us that these will be efficient, safe, and convenient. But you must understand the difference between digital money and programmable money. A CBDC is smart money. It is money with a memory and a leash. In a programmable system, the central authority decides everything. They can decide that your money is only valid for food, not for travel. They can decide that your money expires if you don't spend it by Friday. They can turn off your ability to buy anything if your social credit score drops too low. This is the great reset of the financial code. They are building a digital cage to move everyone into. Control is the goal. Why is the timing so critical? It is because of the convergence of three massive waves. First, the demographic collapse. Not enough young people to support the debt. Second, the AI job collapse. Not enough tax-paying workers to fund promises. And third, the technological capability. Governments can track every cent in real time. This is a perfect storm. The failure of the old financial system is the excuse that will be used to implement the new system of total control. They will tell you it is for your own safety. But you must ask, who owns the code? Who writes the rules? We are standing at the edge of a cliff and they are pushing. But there is a master key, a secret nobody is talking about. The people at the top are not trying to fix the engine. They are simply trying to keep it running long enough to finish building the replacement. This isn't a conspiracy, it's an exit strategy. In finance, it's called a controlled demolition. If a building is unsound, you set off small explosions to bring it down while salvaging the most valuable parts. Do you see the small explosions? Bank failures, erratic interest hikes, temporary inflation? These are the demolition charges. The goal is to migrate the entire global population into a new, centralized digital architecture before the old one disintegrates. This is the fourth pillar, the weaponization of the ledger. Records are now weapons of war. When Western powers froze hundreds of billions in Russian central bank reserves, they did something irreversible. They proved that money in the digital age is not an asset you own, but a permission. If the people who run the ledger don't like you, they can delete your wealth. This was the black swan event for the US dollar. Global reserve is dead. Now let's look at the Cantillon effect. It states that the person closest to the source of new money benefits the most. When a central bank prints $1 trillion, it goes first to the big banks and the government. They spend at yesterday's prices before inflation kicks in. By the time it reaches you, prices of milk and rent have already doubled. You are essentially paying a stealth tax to fund the elites. This is why the stock market goes up while people sleep in cars. The code is designed to reward capital and punish labor. Every time the system fails and needs a bailout, the Cantillon effect triggers and the gap widens. How many more bailouts before the social fabric tears? Entropy of debt. In physics, entropy is disorder. In finance, debt is the entropy. For decades, we pulled future consumption into the present. We bought houses we couldn't afford and built cities that produce nothing, borrowing from 2050, but we have reached the zero bound. We can't lower rates further or print more without destroying the currency. We ran out of future. The system is like an airplane that ran out of fuel but is still trying to climb. We are in the moment of weightlessness. Think of the debasement of the Roman denarius, silver mixed with copper until the content was zero. The code was corrupted and Rome fell. Today, we mix nothing with digital promises. The result will be the same. The end is near. AI is the final efficiency. If the financial system is the circulatory system, AI is the brain. But if the circulatory system is full of debt-poisoned blood, a faster brain only accelerates the death of the organism. AI takes jobs, the tax base vanishes, and the government defaults. Banks collapse and your life savings vanish. Two crises locked in a deadly embrace. What is the master key to survival? Return to Lindy assets. Gold has been money for 5,000 years. Digital tokens and fiat currencies have a life expectancy of 80. Most are past their expiration date. To survive, move your value out of the corrupted code and into Lindy code. Physical assets, land, and specialized skills AI cannot replicate. Most importantly, human networks. Think about local resilience. In times of currency failure, survivors didn't have the most paper money. They had a barter network. They knew the farmer, the mechanic, the doctor. They traded value for value, bypassing the broken global ledger. We are moving toward a world where local is the only thing that is real. Autonomy. This is a painful correction but necessary. We lived in a dream of infinite growth on a finite planet, fueled by invisible debt. The failure is the alarm clock going off. True wealth is not a number in a database, it is autonomy, sustaining yourself regardless of what the central bank does. Build your offline ledger. Invest in the human premium. Knowledge is the antidote to fear. The people who understand the codes will define the next century. The transition will be rocky, but remember, the most powerful code ever written is the human spirit's drive for liberty. The system can take your currency, but not your value unless you give it away. I am Jiang Xueqin. Stay grounded. Stay vigilant. Thank you. This is the time to invest in what I call the human premium. In an age of AI and digital surveillance, your most valuable asset is your unique human perspective, your creativity, and your ability to build trust in real-world relationships. These are the things that cannot be coded, cannot be automated, and cannot be taken away by a central bank. Invest in your skills, your health, and your community. Building an offline ledger isn't just about gold or land. It's about building a network of people you can rely on when the digital systems fail. It's about local resilience. Think about the farmer, the mechanic, and the doctor in your local area. These are the real-world pillars of survival. When the global grid flickers, these human connections are what will keep the lights on in your life. Knowledge is the only true antidote to the fear they want you to feel. The system thrives on your anxiety because fear makes you predictable and easy to manage. But when you understand the why behind the how, when you see the controlled demolition for what it is, you can move with purpose and clarity while everyone else is running in circles searching for answers. We are witnessing the greatest reshuffling of the deck in human history. The old codes are crashing and the new ones are being written by those who have the courage to step outside the digital cage. The people who understand these shifts and the people who know how to live without relying on a corrupted ledger will be the ones who define the values and the structures of the next century. I hope this analysis has provided the clarity you need to navigate the coming transition. Remember, the most powerful code ever written is the human spirit's drive for liberty and truth. The system can take your currency, but it cannot take your value unless you give it away. Stay grounded, stay connected, and stay vigilant. My name is Jiang Xueqin, and I will see you in the next analysis. Thank you. Global News Agora is committed to providing deep analysis for a changing world. If you found this report valuable, please subscribe and share it with those who need to see the truth. We will continue to monitor the failing codes and the rise of the new era. Until next time, I am Jiang Xueqin. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and stay free. Beyond financial autonomy, we must talk about technological sovereignty. In a world of programmable money, your data is the new oil, and your privacy is your strongest shield. As we transition away from the corrupted codes of the old guard, we must embrace tools that empower the individual. This means understanding encryption, decentralization, and the power of owning your own digital identity. The future belongs to those who can navigate both the physical and the digital worlds without being trapped by either. The choice is ultimately yours. You can wait for the system to decide your future, or you can start building it today. This video was designed to be your starting point, a map to help you navigate the cliff. Take this knowledge, share it with your community, and start investing in what is real. The era of invisible codes is ending, but the era of human liberty is just beginning. Thank you for staying with me through this 20-minute masterclass. Let's build a better future together.